Welcome to the virtual workshop by Ladies Who Lead. This is on decoding virtual investments, cryptocurrency, and NFTs with LWL titan Sonali Fabiani Raheja. I can see a big smile because this is obviously one of her most passionate things to talk about. So Sonali is a social activist running her own nonprofit organization, which goes by the name of All Three Gifts That Matter, which facilitates gifting impact to vetted NGOs. In the Web3 space, she's involved in a luxury watch club and helps lead an NFT community called the Xplorers, aiming to introduce India to the space. And she also invests. She recently started a YouTube channel breaking down social issues in crypto and has previously worked at NBC Universal, Teach for India, and Deloitte. After such a powerful introduction, over to you, Sonali, to lead the room on this wonderful workshop. Go for it.
Thank you. That was a very generous introduction. I think I'm going to share my screen now, and then I'll go through a little bit about myself and a little bit about virtual investments and the crypto world and all that good stuff. Hi, everyone. My name is Sonali Fabiani Raheja, and like Nikhil said, I do a lot of different things, including my NGO and a lot of these new things that we're going to be talking about today. If we could please go to the next slide, Elisa. Thank you. So who I am, Sonali Fabiani, and my NGO is called All Three Gifts That Matter. So I'll tell you a little bit about that quickly. So All Three is named after a cute nickname for altruism. We believe there's a little bit of all three in everybody. And so we like to replace gifting. So instead of sending a friend a bouquet of flowers on their special occasion, you could instead spend the same amount and send, for example, feed 100 homeless people, and then All Three would then send them a greeting card saying, "Dear so-and-so, have a great day. On your behalf, Sonali has fed 100 homeless people." You know, so you're still spending for the gesture of their birthday, but at the same time, flowers end up in the dustbin in 2 days, and impact is forever. So that's just a little bit about what we do. And when I'm not running my NGO, I make videos on my new YouTube channel. So please do check it out. It's called Real Talk with Sonali. And I do talk about social issues as well as the Web3 space. And since my background is mostly in NGO and the social sector, in a lot of these NFT projects, while I am an investor, I'm also very much involved in the social impact part of the projects. For example, in the Bezel Club, which is a luxury watch marketplace, and then NFT Explorers, which is our venture, me, my husband, and my brother Krish, and we all basically are trying to get India more involved in the Web3 space. So that's what we do. And now I'll dive in a little bit more. So today's workshop is more like an overview on the Web3 space. And I'm saying the word Web3 a lot, but what is that exactly? We'll go into that. And we're going to touch upon NFTs and cryptocurrency as well. And just generally have a chat. I want it to be informal and interactive. So please do send me any questions in the chat, and I'll try to monitor those and answer those as we go along if it's relevant. If not, I'll answer them at the end. But yeah, thank you. And yeah, so I'll just dive right in. If we could go to the next slide, please. Alisa, I'm going to first talk about Web3. So what is Web3? Everybody's talking about it. It's become like a buzzword right now. And why is it 3? You know, like this new thing. And then it's 3. Where are 1 and 2? So there is 1 and 2. And we don't talk about it as much because it's something we understand very well at this point, but actually Web 1 was the first wave of the internet in the 1990s and the early 2000s, when we were all, you know, starting to go online, and we had that weird modem, and to connect to it, it was like ding, ding, ding. I think we all know that sound. And so yeah, that was Web 1 essentially, when we used to go online on different websites and could mostly just read information or, you know, buy things online. Think of eBay, think of Google, think of Wikipedia, you know, that was Web 1. It was very much a very one-sided situation where you could just go on a website and then read, and that was, and you know, in a few small cases you could interact with it a little bit, like when you were making purchases or if you were searching something on a search engine, things like that. That was Web 1. Web 2 was when with the rise of social media, right? We had Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all that good stuff, all of those different platforms. And they were when we started creating the content. Instead of just reading something, we became creators. We became the people actually posting the content or creating, you know, putting out text, putting out photos, putting out all those things. And that became more engaging, more interactive. You can comment on people's things, you can interact, you can send messages to each other, all of that. So that was Web 2, when it became more of like an interactive community, and content creation was for everybody, available for everybody. And now we're on Web 3. So what is Web 3 exactly? Well, Web 3 is basically the new wave of the internet involving the blockchain. And I'm going to go into the blockchain soon, but basically the whole point of Web 3 is decentralization. And what is decentralization? Why do we need it? All those questions, I'm going to answer them as we go along. But decentralization is the transfer of control of an activity or organization to several people, or instead of just one. An example of that would be banks or the government or things like that. Right now, if I need to take some money out of my bank account, I have to go to a bank and take it out from there. And only if they approve it and they're okay with it and I do it on their terms, only then can I get that money. Now, I'm going to talk about a very recent example with the Ukraine and Russia. It's a very unfortunate situation with the war. And a lot of Ukrainians, the ones who fled the country, luckily, they are just locked out of their bank accounts. The banks have frozen all their assets and they have to just start from scratch with only the clothes on their backs. And the people who were invested in cryptocurrency, they are chilling right now because they went wherever they go, their crypto wallet follows them and they can go anywhere. And if they choose to off-ramp that money, or off-ramp is like when you sort of cash out of your crypto and make it into normal currencies that we use, which are called fiat currencies. Okay, I'm going to go a bit slower. Fiat currencies are like rupees, dollars, you know, non-crypto money, normal money. Those are called fiat currencies, like the car, fiat. And so basically all the Ukrainians who had crypto wallets, they just, you know, they were fine. They didn't need any other authority because that's their money. And it's, if you think about it, it's not fair for them to have been denied their own money when exiting a country during these, you know, stressful circumstances. But at the same time, that's how centralization works. And that's the whole point of decentralization. The reason it was born, the reason blockchain was born or Bitcoin was created is because back in the day in 2008, when we had that financial crash, people started realizing, why are we giving these financial institutions so much power? Clearly, they're abusing that power, and clearly they're just making us do whatever they want to do. And a lot of the times we don't really have a say in how things go. We've seen it with scams and with the whole Yes Bank scandal or the whole PNB scandal. Many times the banks just, you know, oh, sorry, we, you know, lent out all this money and now we don't have your money and you've lost it. Sorry, can't do anything about it. That is very convenient of them to say. And I'm not anti-system or anti-banks or anything like that, but there is a huge flaw in our current financial systems. And that is the whole reason blockchain and Bitcoin were born. The first blockchain use was Bitcoin, and that was started in 2009. January 2009 was when Bitcoin was born, and it was started by Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know if that was an actual person or a group. It's a pseudonym. Can I just ask everybody to please mute themselves? Thank you. So yeah, that's how it started. And it started as a reaction to the financial crash, because people were like, wait a minute, I left my money with the bank. It was supposed to be safe there. You told me it would be safe there, and now it's just disappeared. You told me to invest in all these bonds and all these things, and I did, and now it's gone. So the whole point of Bitcoin was to create a decentralized network. And now that blockchain is the way that Bitcoin was created. So we can't, when we have decentralization, you have all these thousands of computers and they're all storing the same public ledger, the same type of information, and it's encrypted with complex mathematical equations. And those would take years for human beings to do. That's why we have the computers do it. And every time you edit the blockchain and make a transaction, whether you're buying and selling an NFT or Bitcoin, it always comes with you're editing and you're adding one more block to the blockchain with the new information, which then updates on all the computers all over. And then that's how you maintain the transparency of the blockchain, because every single transaction is recorded and traceable. That is the main part. It is traceable. And if we could just go to the next slide, please. So let's start with DAOs. The decentralized nature of Web3 is made possible with DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations. These are digitally native communities. Now, think of a DAO as a large company, but there's no CEO. Everybody, let's say there's 100 people working for a company, they are all CEOs. There is no hierarchy. And all these CEOs decide together as a collective, what are the next steps of this company? What are the next steps for the community and all the things that they're doing? You can think of it as like a perfect democracy, if you will. Until everybody votes, every member of the DAO has to vote for something. When there's unanimity, then they can pass that rule on, or then they can go ahead with that strategy. Until everybody approves of it, you cannot go forward with it. So it's a lot of, there's like a lot of voting mechanisms, there's a lot of governance, there's a lot of, let me just find my notes. And that is the wrong page. Bear with me, guys. But yeah, basically, when it comes to DAOs, you have people with the same goal, who have the same interests. You have treasury management, you have governance, contribution management, right? People need to contribute, and only if you buy a token for that DAO. One of my favorite DAOs is called Friends with Benefits. And basically, you have to buy the token of Friends with Benefits, and then you are a member of that DAO. So it's expensive, obviously, because it's a highly coveted one, but they do a lot of things. Once there was a DAO that tried to get together, tried to get investors together to buy an NBA team. So, it really you could have any kind of goal you want. There's a DAO for investors, and they all get together and vote on what are the next investments they're gonna invest in together as a collective. So lots of cool things are happening in the space. You have DeFi, which is decentralized finance. One example of that is the investor club that I mentioned. So yeah, basically you don't have one person just deciding everything and like running with it. Like Elon Musk, I don't know how many people in Tesla actually agree with all the crazy things he's doing, but they don't have a choice because they don't have a say, right? So if Tesla was a DAO, that wouldn't happen because everyone would have to approve of everything and vote in favor of everything for any kinds of plans to go ahead. If we could go to the next slide, please, Alisa. So blockchains, layer 1 would be the actual blockchain. So for example, Bitcoin is a layer 1 blockchain. Ethereum is a layer 1 blockchain. And we call it layer 1 because that is the base, that is the foundation. And then many times for example, in Ethereum, all NFTs are, not all, most NFTs are sold on the Ethereum blockchain. So that is what they use to interact. Their transactions are all recorded on the Ethereum blockchain, essentially. But you can have dApps and things that run on top of Ethereum. Daos and many of these things can run on top of Ethereum. So that's why we call Ethereum as layer 1. That's like the foundation, kind of like like if we had Lego blocks, that would be right at the bottom. And then if we go to the next slide, please, Alisa. Then we have layer 2, which is, for example, NFTs or different digital apps, things that are using Ethereum to operate from. So yeah, we can just go to the next slide, please. Okay, so NFTs, a highly coveted conversation. A lot has changed in the past couple of months. I'm sure you all have noticed the crypto markets have been down by quite a lot. That doesn't mean you should be discouraged. If anything, I personally, and I have to say this is not investment advice, but I personally take this as a time to revisit my positions and buy some of the dip, because those of us who believe in crypto for the long term, and Web3 is here to stay. If back in the day, people told you in like the 1970s, 1980s, hey, invest in Microsoft and Intel. I don't know if we would have done it, because it was so new. This random box with like a screen in front of it, and you can access the whole world with it. Seems kind of mystical. I'm not sure. But it took time to become mainstream. And now there's no household without computers. Everybody uses the internet. Nothing functions without it. And I think that is a great metaphor for where we are today in the Web3 space. We got a lot of people who don't really believe in it. And then we have a lot of people who are like, this is the future. And I'm one of them, because it is the future. So, but having said that, I don't know if NFTs are the future per se, because while I do believe in NFTs, I also think right now people think of NFTs as PFPs, which are profile pictures. And if we could go to the next slide, please. I'm sure you've all seen, the Bored Apes or World of Women, or a lot of NFTs. Beeple sold for like 69 million, one NFT. So, these things have been coming in the news, and we've all been sort of just taken by surprise, because why are people paying so much money for these tiny JPEGs, right? What is this all about? Well, basically, NFTs are non-fungible tokens. And before I go into that, what does fungible even mean? We all say, yeah, I know what an NFT is. It's a non-fungible token. Cool, but what does that actually mean in like normal words? Fungible means replaceable. So for example, if I'm walking on the street and I find $1 on the floor, and somebody comes to me saying, I dropped my dollar, but I had already picked it up, thought, hey, it's my lucky day today, and I had already put it inside my wallet. And now he's like, hey, I dropped my dollar, and I saw you picked it up when I came back here. And now I've mixed his dollar bill with all of my dollar bills. So I don't know which one was his, which one was the one from the floor, right? But does it matter which one I give him, as long as I give him a $1 bill? Does it really matter which one I give him? No, it doesn't matter. And the reason for that is because fiat money is fungible. Bitcoin is also fungible. Like a lot of these currencies are fungible. In that sense, if I give you one Bitcoin and I say, hey, hold it for me, and then it gets mixed with all of your Bitcoin, and then I say, okay, you can give it back to me now. Don't do that to anyone you don't trust, because they'll just be like, what Bitcoin? I don't know. You didn't give me any Bitcoin. But guess what? Because of the blockchain, you can trace that transaction and be like, right here, this is the code of the transaction, and this is when I gave it to you, So, haha, busted. But anyway, so then you ask for your Bitcoin back, and when they give it back to you, it doesn't matter which one they give you. But another side of things, something non-fungible would be if I go to the park with my pet dog, and then you come to the park with your pet dog, and they both do that doggy thing where they sniff each other's bums, and then they get entangled into that in their leash. and then I just grab one dog and go home, and you grab one dog and go home and call it a day. If I've come home with your dog, is that the same thing as you going? Is it the same thing as me coming back home with my dog? No, it doesn't work. You can't just replace a dog with another dog. It's not, the dogs are not fungible. They are non-fungible. I need that exact same dog back, right? Because that's the one I love. That's my family member. And that's the one who responds to a certain name. So that is a quick example of what non-fungible means. Essentially, non-fungible means you cannot replace it. It's irreplaceable. It's one of a kind. So non-fungible tokens are one of a kind tokens. Like, for example, this Bored Ape you see here in the white fur, there is no other NFT that will be exactly like it. There might be a similar one, but maybe it won't have the earring, or maybe it won't have the sunglasses, or it will have, another color, a t-shirt on top. So that is what NFT means. And now the reason we have NFTs is because they provide us with proof of ownership, and they provide us with proof of authenticity. Those are the two main things. If you take away only two things from this workshop, please take away the fact that NFTs provide us with proof of ownership and proof of authenticity. And you might be wondering, why do we need this now? Why do we need proof of authenticity? We haven't had it for so many years. Why do we need it now? When I buy a designer bag, it comes with a certificate of authenticity. That's good enough for me. Now, let me ask you something. How many people knew that in the goods market worldwide, 3.3% of every single good that is bought and sold, exactly 3.3% of those are fake? And that is a large number considering all the goods in the world, right? Imagine every time you buy something, there's a 3.3% chance it's fake. What are you going to do about it? If you buy it in the actual physical store, that changes things a little bit. But say you buy it from this website and you get this designer handbag, let's say, and it has the certificate of authenticity as a card. What is to say somebody hasn't taken out the card from another bag and put it in this and sold you a counterfeit? There's really no way to tell. So this is a very much needed thing. We haven't had proof of authenticity or proof of ownership before. Now, my dad lost one of his watches a long time ago on his birthday. Very sad situation. Somebody just pulled it and just ran off, and probably sold it and made some money, and now there's no way to trace that. But if every luxury good had what we call maybe a digital twin NFT, or an NFT that sort of is connected to that particular luxury item, say you turn the watch underneath and there's a QR code and you scan it and it takes you to the NFT that is associated with that watch, you will be able to trace that watch. And if someone has tried to sell this watch on the black market because it's a stolen watch, people who scan it on the bottom will be like, where is the matching NFT that goes with this? That would be your certificate of proof of ownership, your certificate of authenticity. Where is that digital certificate of authenticity? I'm not going to buy it without that, right? And now we have just thrown this whole black market of fake goods or of stolen goods. We have just thrown all of those salespeople for a bit of a thrown them. We have just lost them, okay? Because now we have just put a damper in all their plans, and it's just, this is the new world, right? And that's just how it's going to be from now on. And maybe not yet, but there's a lot of people, all kinds of industries can use NFTs. The reason I'm giving you other examples of NFTs is because I personally don't think the PFP market is forever. The PFP, as in the profile pictures, or these avatars and cartoon type JPEGs that people use for NFTs, I don't see that as going to be working in the long run, because a lot of people have already picked up their digital avatar for the metaverse, and you don't really need, I don't know, if you have a profile picture, I don't know how many times you're going to keep changing it. But essentially, these PFP collections were made 1-2 years ago. And that time, that was their era. They were selling left, right, and center. And now suddenly they're not selling that much anymore because only 90% of all these communities are actually going to make it. People buy a Bored Ape because you belong to the community of Bored Apes. That community as a whole, that is the power, right? The power is not just this picture. This is just, I can draw better than that. No, I'm kidding, I can't. But the whole point of NFT collections are their community. If you want access to that community, because maybe they're, they're the cool kids in the Web3 space, like the Bored Apes, for example, they're the cool kids in the NFT space. My husband likes to say they're the frat boys of the NFT space, those cool college kids. And many people want to be part of that community to say, hey, I have a Bored Ape. Well, then buy it. It's for God knows how much now. I mean, actually, it's kind of cheaper now because the market has fallen. But I don't know if you'd necessarily want that. If you want more utility-based NFTs, you would want to look out for when we use them as for luxury goods, as a certificate of authenticity, for example, or you would want them as, for example, if I had to buy a new property, right? Real estate, there's a company in the US also selling real estate and using NFTs as the title deeds. Now, if, for example, there's God forbid, there's a calamity and my title deed has burnt in the fire or in some situation, how do I prove that this is actually my house? I need to go to the government, stand in a line, wait till they take me, provide 10,000 documents, proof this, that, and then finally they'll give me a new copy and I don't know when it'll come. It's really cumbersome. If I had this on chain or on the blockchain as a title deed, as a proof of that, then I don't need to do anything. Firstly, it will never get lost because it's on the blockchain. And secondly, every time I need a new copy, maybe I can just print it or show somebody my wallet on my phone or whatever. But the whole point of decentralization is to cut out that middle person, whether it's the government or the banks. Or how many people stand in lines for hours at the bank and you're just like, I just need this one check made, or I just need to do this one thing and I've spent hours here. Don't you think we have lived in enough technology where surely there should be a way to bypass this whole cumbersome process? Yes, you're right. And this is it. Decentralization is the end to that. And I think it's going to take time. Right now, there's a lot of crypto taxes and things like that because the government, I believe, is trying to buy time, trying to discourage us from using crypto because they are trying to learn more about it on their own. And then once they have learned it and they have experts on their team, in fact, they're currently working with the Polygon team, and Polygon is one of the largest. So they operate on, they operate on top of Ethereum, on the Ethereum blockchain. But Polygon actually is more cost effective than Ethereum. So a lot of people are selling their NFTs and interacting on the blockchain with Polygon because they're more cost efficient. And of course, Indians created it. But they're actually doing really well. They're worth like $13 billion or something right now. And the government is working with them to get more familiar with this situation. And I think taxes will reduce once they understand it better. But I also think the government will be trying to get involved in the Web3 space as well. So I don't think this is it for India. I think there's a long road coming ahead. Might be a bit of bumps in the road, like all other things here, but literally and figuratively. But I think there's a lot coming in the future. If you could please go on the next slide, please, Alisa. Yeah. So also one other thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about title deeds on chain, there'll be lack of disputes, because you can't have a photocopy of an NFT. It's just not possible because it's non-fungible. That's the whole point. So there will be lack of disputes and no one will be like, this is my property. No, this is my property. Yeah. And next slide, please. So I'm just going to open it up to questions a little bit. If you want me to go through a little bit of the metaverse or a little bit of other things or talk more about any of these topics, I'm just going to have a look at if there's any questions in the chat. and go through some of them. And there are no questions. Great. Was I that clear or was I that boring? Don't answer that. It's fine. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to talk about anything else. In the meantime, I have some fun facts. Also, the bullet point number 1 over here is this is not investment advice. This is personally what I am doing, and I'm not responsible for anything going sour. So just letting you know that. But I can talk a little bit more about other topics if you guys want, or go through some terms. For example,
Hi, I have a question. How are you?
Yeah, please.
I got it. Sorry. Yeah, so this is Angelina here.
Hi, Angelina.
My question to you is, as far as India is concerned in the reality market, have they started using these NFTs?
Not yet. Not yet. It's still very new right now. The US is doing it, but not India yet.
All right. Okay. So it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while, yeah. But if you're interested in that space, are you in real estate by any chance?
Yes, my family business is into real estate.
Okay, great. Then I would say please do jump on that before someone else does, and I can connect you to my husband and my brother, and I'm sure you guys can have a nice chat about what's doable right now.
Yeah, sure. Would like to know more, study about it and see what can be done.
Sure.
As long as the government is open to, the real estate getting into it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they will be eventually. It's going to take a while, but I think they eventually will be. They'll want to be involved somehow, but I think it's possible. Give it like maybe 5 years, I would say.
Right.
Also, if Alisa, if we could please go to the next slide. I have some resources.
Thank you.
In case. My pleasure, Angelina. Thank you for your question. These are some resources that you could use to learn more about the Web3 space. The first point is a 4-hour talk about Bitcoin and the history of it. I can give you a little bit of a background on it if you guys want while we're waiting for more questions here. But it's extremely long, but also worth it. Then there's also my own YouTube channel, which is Real Talk with Sonali, where I send out bite-sized information. There's the A16Z podcast, which is a good one. There's Block Crunch, Bankless. There's also Decrypt, if you guys want to read news on Decrypt. That's also a good one, which I forgot to mention here. But if you want, I'm going to start just giving you a small summary on the beginning of the 4-hour Bitcoin talk and save you some time there. So Bitcoin started, as I mentioned earlier, in response to the financial crash of 2008. And basically, the whole point of it is to sort of have a decentralized network. But the problem with the government and the way they've used treasuries and finances, it's actually, there's a bit of a long con that's been pulled on us and we don't even know it. But back in the day, there was a gold standard, which means currency was actually gold. And that's what people used to exchange. And we all had small receipts. We, as in I wasn't alive that time, not sure about you guys, but people back then had these receipts and they had to go to a bank to be like, this is the amount needed or whatever. And those receipts essentially represented the amount of gold needed or for the transaction, because you can't really carry like 3 grams, 4 grams, 10 grams of gold around. It's really heavy and it's also expensive to transfer. If I had to transfer money to America or somewhere else, like how would I just ship my gold on a ship, literally on a ship? Like, it was just not practical. So they had these paper receipts for, denoting all the amounts. And then slowly, what happened was the UK went off the gold standard, and all these, because they slowly did that. Okay, sorry, I jumped a bit of a step there. While the gold standard was still happening, they had all these receipts to represent the amount traded. That time, World War I was just starting, and they needed to sort of fund the war. And the UK, I don't know why they had to get involved, but they decided to get involved, and they had to fund all the, training for the soldiers and all the equipment and all the weapons and everything. So they said, we're going to create these bonds and sell these bonds to the public. And now what the public didn't know is that while they thought everything, all the receipts, those receipts which became pounds or, actual fiat money that we use today, those became pounds. And that was supposed to be still pegged to the gold amounts that the government had in reserve. But the problem with that is the public didn't, they had to sell all their gold back to the government, because the government said, we are going to keep all the gold reserves. So, sell us all your gold back and take these receipts or these, currencies. And then they shipped all their gold to America to for the, weapons and the funding of the war and everything, and including people's money that they had sent, including these bonds that they sold to people, saying, hey, we'll give you more money back, but give us this money right now. So then they sold all these bonds to people, and then essentially nobody was allowed to trade in dollars and nobody was allowed to trade in gold anymore. The public stopped it, and because they had sold everything back to the government, and the government just went off the gold standard without telling the public, and didn't have any of those reserves anymore in actual physical gold, because they had shipped them off to America. And then they tried to convince all the other countries to switch out of the gold standard, and it just became a big mess, and the public was just, conned essentially. So that is how things started at the beginning. But then who really said that the government could just take everybody's gold? Who said the government could just, suddenly on a whim decide, we're going to change the whole system of currency? Like, shouldn't there be some sort of voting system about this? And because of the war and all the urgency, they just conveniently pretended like, the public was distracted with the war, and then they just did all of this behind their back. So that's how it started essentially. And Saifuddin Amos, who's the guy being interviewed talking about all this, is like, he's a complete anarchist. So I don't know if you need to go all the way there on the spectrum either, but essentially there are a lot of holes in our current financial system, and the blockchain was born to fix that. So if we have this now, a lot of people are like, oh, how do you know? How can you just we trust the government, we trust the banks, how can you just replace that whole system? It's not going to happen overnight. It will take some time, but essentially the whole point is there is that level of accountability. It's still there because you can see everything on the blockchain. Every single transaction is visible, it's traceable. Every single computer is solving math equations to update the latest version of the blockchain at all times. There's just so many things going on there to secure everything. People think there's so many scams in Web3 and NFTs and crypto. There's so many scams. Anywhere where there's finance, there are scams. If you get a random phishing email saying, donate for this Nigerian prince, something, people click on it. That's a scam, right? If you save your credit card information on the wrong website and then they use it, that's a scam, right? So if you leave cash in an envelope lying in a mall and try to come back to get it the next day, it's not going to be there, right? Because there are people out there who want to steal from you. And that's true for all types of finance. It's not just Bitcoin or Web3 or crypto. People are just not comfortable with it yet. That's why they're like, oh, I don't want to be part of this. There's all these scams. But there's a very easy way to bypass it. Do not click on any direct message link that you receive regarding crypto or NFTs. I learned that the hard way, so I'm just saving you guys some trouble and money. Do not click on a random link that comes to you in your direct messages. It's as simple as that. Obviously keep your passphrase very, very safely. In fact, if you want to be involved in this, the first thing you can do is create a crypto wallet. I personally have one on MetaMask, but that's a hot wallet because it's connected to the internet, right? And I have that on Google Chrome. I can access my MetaMask wallet, or on my phone there's an app for it, right? But you also have cold wallets, which are like almost like a pen drive or a hard drive, and that will connect to your laptop, and your things are essentially, your information it's harder to hack. But it's very, very rare for those things to happen. But anyway, if you're more comfortable with that, you have it there. But then the downside of that is, if you lose that, it's difficult to recover your assets. But yeah, so basically I would say start by creating a crypto wallet and let that be your home base. You can buy Ethereum on there as a currency as well directly. You don't need to do it on Coinbase or WazirX or all of these things. You do need to buy other currencies on those platforms, because MetaMask is on Ethereum, runs on Ethereum. So that is the reason you can buy that particular currency on it. And then you can buy NFTs if you like, but my advice would be really do your research before you buy profile picture NFTs, because markets are down right now, but not all of them are going to recover. Like I said, it's not very useful to have profile picture NFTs anymore the way it was like exactly a year ago. So I wouldn't buy those, but you can buy cryptocurrency and see how it goes, see the different things you can do with it. And like I said, follow these different resources to get more information on what to do, how to do it, how to get more involved, what are the different possibilities. And don't be alarmed if you see a transaction cost coming as gas. Gas is what you have to pay in addition to your transaction to sort of cover the costs of energy that all the machinery and computers are running just to process that transaction. So many times on a website you'll have like a convenience fee or like a payment gateway fee. It's kind of like that, except if there are a lot of people having transactions at the same time, the gas price will be higher because it's more expensive to do a transaction in that moment, because the machines are busy and there's a lot going on already. But if you do it at a time when it's quite not many people are using it, then you can get it pay gas for much cheaper. That works in our favor right now because we're on the opposite sides of the earth of America and South America. A lot of crypto activity happens in the Americas. So it helps us that they're all sleeping while we would be transacting. So gas is cheaper for those reasons many times during our daytime. But yeah, that's just a little bit of background. What else do I have here? There's another fun fact if you want. The reason CryptoPunks became so popular, it's purely because one of them sold for $7 million suddenly. And then all the news started covering it. And they were like, oh my God, this digital art piece or, this avatar thing has sold for $7 million. What is it? And everybody was talking about it. And suddenly, because of that, NFTs and their demand just went through the roof purely because of the fame aspect. I would compare this to the Mona Lisa, for example. I would say she's arguably the most famous painting in the world. Why is she such a famous painting? It's not like she was that good or that amazing or the first of her kind or whatever people tell you about her. She wasn't even completed. No offense to Da Vinci, but she wasn't that good, and she's very average looking if you ask me. And I've been to see her and she's like this big. And it's extremely anticlimactic. But why is she worth $870 million today. It's purely because she is famous. Perugia, this thief, stole the Mona Lisa painting from the Louvre some time ago, many years ago. And due to this theft, the Mona Lisa was all over their news. And it was just like, Mona Lisa painting stolen, thief on the loose, blah, 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 famous painting by Da Vinci stolen. And because it was all over the headlines, people then knew about it. And because they knew about it, and it became kind of like a celebrity, right? Why is news about celebrities so much more interesting to people? Or why is it such a sensation if normal things happen to them? It's because everybody knows them. Everybody is like interested in them because, they've read about it, they follow their stories, things like that. It's the same thing for the Mona Lisa as well. And eventually the Mona Lisa was returned to the Louvre, or was she? Because according to current research, 20% of paintings in museums are inauthentic. They're fakes. And that is because really, really talented con artists and copycats have painted them and then sold the real one on the black market, and then they return this, which is supposedly the original, and then people are none the wiser. Why? Because there is no digital twin NFT or any sort of blockchain transaction to confirm which is the real Mona Lisa. So the next time you go to the Louvre, please check out the Mona Lisa and tell me if you think it's the real one or not. But that's all I have for today, guys. And if you have any more questions, please do let me know. I'm gonna check the chat box again. What is a good platform to use for trading? I personally like Coinbase, but I don't know if it's very easy to use in India. I guess you could use Kuber, CoinSwitch, or WazirX if you must. But I don't know. I don't love them very much. I would try to use one of the international platforms if you could, like Coinbase or Gemini or one of those. Since the government is taxing gains from crypto at the same rate as gains from gambling, do you see a path to this changing and the government accepting this asset class? I think the government is going to be accepting this asset class. They have just put this huge tax to scare us and to sort of discourage us from being more involved in this space right now, while they are learning all about it, because it's new for everybody, right? Including me, including you guys. It's just such a new technology. So they are trying to buy time on it so that they can regulate it a bit more once they understand it. That's the only reason the tax is so high. I see it reducing a lot in the future as soon as they're more comfortable with it. Another platform, what is a good platform to use for trading? I've answered that question, but just to reiterate it, CoinDCX, Binance is a great one, also used internationally. So Binance is great. ZebPay is also good. ZEB space pay. ZebPay is good. Tax is currently 30% in crypto in India. But if you want to move to Lisbon or Dubai, tax is 0% in crypto. Also, since crypto is unregulated, there are many financial frauds in this segment without recurse, without some things that to watch out for. Okay, so some things to watch out for is again, number one, do not click on any link that you're not sure of, especially if someone has sent it to you directly and their logo might be something. But any direct message or DM or personal message is a complete no-no. Do not click on the link. And if that comes as a DM on Instagram or on Discord or a DM into your email, nowhere should you ever click on that. And think very, very carefully before you connect your wallet to a website. So many times you can click on the website, but nothing will happen until you connect your wallet. Every Web3 website in the corner will have a button that says connect wallet. And you can press connect wallet, and then it will open your wallet and say, do you want to give this website access to your wallet? And sometimes you say confirm because you trust this website and you know exactly what led you to this website. But if you're not sure, that is your time to say no, and then you can cancel it. And just remember, if something sounds too good to be true or too easy or too convenient, it probably is. So do not click on it. And just pause and ask someone who will be more familiar with the subject if this is a good link to click on and if you should connect your wallet here. So yeah, just be careful with that. Do not FOMO. Everybody has this thing of FOMO. Oh my God, this market is doing so well, I'm just going to buy it. Or as we call it in Web3, I'm just going to ape or ape in, APE, ape in. Do not just jump in on the bandwagon just because everybody's doing it or your neighbor's doing it or I told you to do it. Do not do that. The very first principle is DYOR, DYOR, do your own research, okay? Consult with somebody, read up on your own, just make sure you're not just buying random things because these are investments. You're not going to buy a random stock without doing the due diligence or researching it properly, right? It's the same thing. Do not buy it without researching it properly. When do you see NFT coming in shape in India? Well, the Xplorers, which is our NFT collection, are already random profile pictures. Make sure the community of that NFT is doing something useful to you. So for example, with our collection NFT Explorers, we introduce people into the space. We kind of handhold them into everything Web3 and just have sort of like a concierge service, help them set up their wallets, have tutorials and events for them to learn more about everything. They can network with other explorers or other, holders of that NFT who are new to the space, things like that. What are the parameters to use to research this space? I have on my Instagram profile, I've done a post about this exact thing. If you want, I can send it on the Ladies Who Lead group after this. Just a few different things that you can look at. But yeah, when do I see NFTs coming into shape in India? That's pretty much what I meant. There is Urban Desi Women. They're also a collection based in India. But again, I don't recommend buying profile pictures anymore unless the community is doing something more utility based. If there's, for example, digital art, that could be something cool. I bought a piece from Damien Hirst's NFT collection, The Currency. I just sold it some time ago for a profit. And that's what we call flipping. You buy an NFT at a cheaper price, and then you flip it or sell it for a higher price and make some money off of it. So yeah, I think unfortunately those things are different because digital art as an NFT is completely different from the profile picture NFTs, which is what we see around a lot right now when we hear NFT. But digital art could be really cool. A lot of fashion designers are doing some really interesting things with digital art. A lot of normal artists like Damien Hirst, as I mentioned, are doing cool things with digital art also. So I think that could be cool. But yeah, definitely utility-based NFTs are the way to go right now. Any more questions that I've missed? How to sell digital art? You need a dev or a developer. You need a Web3 developer who can do your backend work for you and make your website Web3 compatible. You also need a crypto wallet, and then you'll have to mint the pieces, and there's a whole process over there. You'd have to digitize your artwork, and then basically you can use exchanges like OpenSea or Rarible or LooksRare. If you don't want to do it, so okay, I'm gonna rewind a little bit. You can sell digital art in two ways. One is you can create your own website and with a developer or a dev, as we call them in the Web3 space. Or if you don't want to go through that process and have your own website, you can sell it on an exchange like OpenSea. And then you don't need a developer. You can just directly put it on there. But I do recommend you need to do some marketing also, and make sure you get yourself featured on any of these NFT publications, or even NFT Go, the website. They feature cool new collections all the time. Somewhere you'll have to do your marketing so that people know your collection exists, and then they can, look at it and things like that. You're welcome, Shraddha. Thank you for saying that. Any more questions if anyone has? Yeah, I think I've covered all of them. Please do let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to answer. And that's it. I think, Nikhil and Alisa, I think I'm done then. If you want to go to the last slide. Yeah.
Okay. Is there something else you want to? Okay, that's just a thank you slide. Okay.
Yeah, you can go to the next one also, Alisa, in case anyone would like to stay in touch. These are some of my details. You can follow me on my platforms at Sonali Fabiani, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Real Talk with Sonali, where I decode some of these Web3 topics a little further. Or I also talk about social issues, which is something I'm personally very passionate about. And it's also Pride Month. So happy Pride Month, everybody. Here are some extra resources. And that's my email address, realtalkwithsonali@gmail.com, or just sonalifabiani@gmail.com. But thank you so much, guys. This has been fun.
Yeah, thank you for this wonderful workshop where you've helped people understand how to decode virtual investments, crypto, NFTs, all of that, minting, flipping. I think it's a lot of knowledge. And
yeah,
I think
it's my methods are a little bit hodgepodge, but I hope it helped.
No, some very interesting anecdotes and things to look out for and good guidance. And we appreciate your time, not only as an LWL Titan, but also someone who's really trying to educate the people on this group and help them make better investment decisions in a world which not too many of us understand too well. So that's a lot of help. I'm sure the rest of the group shares my sentiments on this. But thank you very much once again. And guys, please keep in touch with Sonali at the information she gave out to you for a slightly more in-depth understanding of this. Thank you very much again, Sonali.
Thank you. And thank you, Alisa. You've been a huge help.
Bye, Sonali.
Everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.